Exclusive contract with Feilu Novel Network Novel. die.Qian. Sign up for 18 years, bury in the sky with one sword. Traveling to the fantasy world of the Great Qian Dynasty, Li Yi becomes the crown prince of the Eastern Palace. Under one person, above 10,000 people. But all he wants is salted fish. He opens his harem, eats and waits to die. What is the practice of cultivating qi, governing the country and striving for the rise of the empire? There's no such thing as hugging and embracing, it's so satisfying. Ding! You have successfully bound the god-level salty fish king system. A subset of classics and histories. I'll understand in a second. Divine skill secret technique. It will take a second. What is the remaining time for? Of course it's salted fish. Sunbathing, fishing, hiking, admiring flowers, and having a grand harem. He never gets involved in anything related to the main business. Crown Prince and Grand Tutor. Your Highness, as the Crown Prince, he should strive to absorb the concept of governance and take over the Great Qian at any time. Li Yi. Are you cursing my father to die at any time? Crown Prince and Grand Tutor. Feilu Novel Network reminds you that this novel and its characters are purely fictional. If there are any similarities, they are purely coincidental and should not be imitated. Chapter 1. Prince Donggong, start by binding to the salted fish system. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. The Great Qian Dynasty, where the palace is located. As the residence of the ruler on this land, the Chenglong Palace has thousands of palaces. These palaces spread along the central axis to the east and west, with red walls and yellow tiles, and carved beams and painted rafters, which can be called resplendent. The halls and towers are staggered in height, magnificent and magnificent. In the morning and evening twilight, I feel like a trance, like a fairyland on earth. The dim yellow sunset falls on the east side of the Chenglong Palace, where a grand palace stands proudly. Donggong. The residence of the Crown Prince. In the study, two beautiful maids stood dignified on the side, gently shaking their feather fans in their hands. The maid lowered her eyelids and dared not look directly at the sleeping person lying on the desk. Because the other party is the Crown Prince of die.Qian. Li Yi. As one of the most prestigious figures in the Great Qian Dynasty, Li Yi's legal status is second only to Emperor Qian. This is not something that ordinary people dare to face directly, and he even lacks the qualification to speak loudly in front of him. However, some people are not included in this list. Bang! The sudden sound of tapping the table shattered the peaceful atmosphere. Li Yi opened his eyes in a daze, lifted his head, and looked at an elderly man in front of him who was trembling with anger. The other person has graying hair, dressed in simple and rustic attire, holding a book in one hand and pointing at themselves in the other. Crown Prince. I just went out to handle some miscellaneous matters, so you took the opportunity to slack off. Have you finished reading the 4 books? How many chapters have you memorized from the Book of Rites? In good times, if you don't strive for progress and instead sleep in your study, do you deserve my teachings? Do you deserve your Majesty's expectations of you? When the old man angrily asked, the two maids were already trembling. However, Li Yi's expression remained calm, with a hint of confusion in his eyes. He just looked at the old man quietly, seemingly unmoved. I can't keep up with this Crown Prince, Grand Tutor. I will resign from your Majesty tomorrow. In the end, the old man got tired from scolding, slammed his sleeve hard, and pushed the door away. As he angrily left, the two maids plopped and knelt down on the ground. Li Yi lowered his head and glanced at the two maids, still unmoved. At this moment, he is receiving a flood of memories in his mind and searching for that strange sound. I have traveled through time. Li Yi. Crown Prince of the Eastern Palace of the Great Qian Dynasty. My birth mother passed away early and was raised by an empress who had no offspring since childhood. Due to the legitimate eldest son's reasons, he was appointed as the crown prince by Emperor Qian at the beginning of the founding of the country. The basic identity information was first accepted by Li Yi. Then, various things that this body experienced from childhood to adulthood rolled in like a trickle. Naturally, the scene that happened in the study just now, as well as the information about the old man, was digested by him. Prince Taisher. Lu Yuansheng. De Qian was a founding hero with the power of the dragon. Even though his cultivation was shallow, he was still highly valued by Emperor Qian due to his exceptional wisdom. At the age of 15, Emperor Qian arranged for Lu Yuansheng to go to the Eastern Palace and become the crown prince. Simply put, Lu Yuansheng is Li Ye's teacher. There has been a saying since ancient times that one day is a teacher and one lifetime is a father. Although in the imperial family, no one dares to take this statement seriously. But when the other party stood on the moral side and questioned Li Yi a few times, it was harmless. Even if it spreads, everyone, including Emperor Qian and even Li Yi himself, will think that there is nothing wrong with the other party. Li Yi shook his head. Lu Yuansheng was not that important. He continued to receive various messages. This world may seem like ancient China on earth, but in reality, it is a world of difference. At its essence, it lies in this world where one can practice. Between heaven and earth, there is a peculiar energy circulating, called vitality. By absorbing and refining it, one can embark on the path of cultivation. For millions of years, humans have explored many mature paths of cultivation. The most classic and universal one among them is the classification system within the sect system. Congenital, Kaiyuan, and Jidan are the three realms of the physical body. Each realm has 9 layers, which can be described as clear and distinct. Yuanying, Huashan, and Hihi are the 3 realms of Yuanshan. Each realm also has 9 layers. I heard that after the 3 realms of the physical body and the elemental spirit, there are even more powerful realms of divine powers, heaven and humanity, and so on. However, it was too far away from Li Yi. He had just opened the 9th level of the Yuan dynasty and was in the state of preparing to take pills. What he is most concerned about now is the increasingly clear voice in his mind. He closed his eyes, set aside some trivial memories, and actively pursued the sound. Gradually, the voice grew louder and clearer. Finally, Li Yi could hear clearly. 4-hour nap, salted fish value plus 40, Li Yi was stunned for a moment. What kind of thing? Is it the golden finger that must be worn when crossing? He pursed his lips and activated the spiritual consciousness that automatically evolved after the cultivator entered the Kaiyuan period, quietly asking questions in his mind. System. Just after the slight movement of divine consciousness, a pure white light curtain unfolded in his mind like a scroll. Shua. Divine level salted fish king system, dedicated to serving the host. Host. Li Yi identity. Crown Prince of the Great Qian Dynasty age. 18 years old realm. Kaiyuan Zhichong skills. Pure Yang manual, incomplete, Pure Yang palm, and Great Sun Tathagata sword technique. Salted fish value. 40 points big gift package. Not opened. System introduction. This system is a divine level salted fish king system. It's too tiring to work hard, so why don't you just bask in the sunshine every day? Yes, salted fish needs to be sun-dried. After sun-drying aside, sun-drying beside. Note. The host should keep the attitude towards salted fish life. Once a positive attitude appears, it will cause unpredictable trouble. After reading the system introduction, Li Ye's eyes suddenly lit up. Chapter 2. Divine Physical Fitness. You are listening at novelfull.audio. As a somewhat accomplished business tycoon in his past life, he worked hard and struggled, finally laying a solid foundation before the age of 40. But when he got all the luxury cars and houses, he only felt empty. Without a strong network background, his assets have been fluctuating within 1 billion. Therefore, after finding a good professional manager, Li Yi returned to the suburban villa he had built and began a leisurely daily life. Plant flowers, water, and go fishing when you have free time. Occasionally driving out, fishing with some old friends, and playing golf. He is tired of the ups and downs of the deceitful business world. This sudden journey was not within his expectations. Even before understanding the current situation, if the world still needs his struggle to barely guarantee his life, he may choose to try all kinds of ways to return to the earth quickly to continue his salted fish life. However, it's different now. Li Yi rubbed his chin with one hand, his gaze teasing. I am the crown prince of the Great Qian Dynasty, the head of the Eastern Palace, and the future heir. My father, Emperor Qian, is currently in his prime and it is not time for me to take over. In other words, I am the largest official second-generation and wealthy second-generation in the world. If we were to live a leisurely life and enjoy the prosperity of the world, there should be no better and more luxurious environment than now. I've played with all those high-tech things on Earth, but they're really not very interesting. On the contrary, in this world after traveling, there are too many things to entertain. For example, practicing. For example, flying. There is also a rumored, double cultivation method, in my memory, which is said to be the ultimate enjoyment of both spirit and flesh. Li Yi pursed his dry lips, his eyes shining brightly. The divine sense moved slightly and landed on the snow-white light curtain. Divine level salted fish king system. Some more detailed system introductions suddenly surfaced. As a divine level. Salted fish king. System. It is already salty enough for fish. This light screen is rare to display to the host, and its functions are far more than that simple. As long as behavior that conforms to the properties of salted fish is performed, corresponding salted fish values can be obtained, and salted fish values have many uses. The large turntable on the north side of the light screen is used for lucky draws. 100 salted fish is worth one time, and the value of the reward cannot be estimated, which may be very poor or extremely precious if you don't want to draw a lottery. You can also make purchases in the Xianyu Mall. Li Yi pursed his lips and said, I'm only worth 40 salted fish now, so I'm too lazy to go see them all. If there are really good things inside, you can't be so annoying before making a purchase. As soon as his thoughts passed, he decided to take a look at the unopened big gift package. Ding! A soft noise. Even the salted fish mall is too lazy to open, enough salted fish. Salted fish value plus 10. Li Yi blinked and thought, can there be a reward? Turtle, this is probably being lazy to a certain extent, too lazy to talk about it. But laziness returns to laziness, but no one can resist the temptation of opening a box. There is a Pandora's box in ancient times, which allows for the release of demons. Now there is a salty fish newcomer gift package that people are looking forward to. However, given that this world possesses extraordinary power. If the rewards provided in the big gift package can be materialized, appear out of thin air, or create some eye-catching special effects, it would not be good if people saw them. With a gentle tap on the table, a gentle response from the maid came from behind. Your Highness, I am here. This tea has cooled down. The maid immediately understood and walked outside the study. Let's go together and wait for me outside the study later. No one is allowed to come in without being summoned. Yes, Your Highness. Watching the two maids obediently leave, Li Yi couldn't help but nod. This servant of de Qian is still more comfortable than the steward of the earth. Ding. Summon the maid to exchange tea, salted fish value plus 10. This time, Li Yi was no longer stunned. He has gradually become familiar with this prompt sound. The reward for the value of salted fish is so arbitrary. Rubbing his hands, Li Yi excitedly looked at the big gift package. Open the blind box, it's really exciting. Open the newcomer gift pack. The divine sense moved slightly, followed by a beam of brilliant fireworks blooming on the system light screen, colorful and beautiful beyond measure. Damn it, the special effects are great. Let me see what's inside the gift package. Li Yi looked excitedly at the light curtain, something in the shape of a book, as if lying there. Suddenly, another fireworks burst out, and the book mysteriously disappeared. On the contrary, only a golden glow remained above. Li Yi was taken aback and said, "Damn it, what the hell is the system? What about the book I opened before? Why did it turn into a golden light?" The system answers every question. Considering that the host has only just entered the state of salted fish, although there is a certain level of salted fish awareness, the subconscious that has struggled and worked hard is still present. In order to make the host one of the great salted fish, this system will provide the greatest help. It's too troublesome to publish tasks repeatedly, and it doesn't fit the style of this system, so this system can be easily implemented in one step. The original reward for the newcomer gift pack was a complete heavenly level cultivation technique, which could reach the level of the combination period when practiced to the extreme, but that was too slow, so at the moment of opening the box for rewards, the system replaces it with a reward that is more suitable for the host. Divine Salted Fish King Body. Li Yi rolled his eyes. This system is already stinky. The salted fish system is just a salted fish system, and it's even a god level, even a salted fish king. Now, we have developed a divine level salted fish king physique. He actually wants to see what this thing, known as divine level, is really useful for. With a movement of divine consciousness, the golden light fell off the screen and melted into the body in the blink of an eye. Li Yi closed his eyes and began to feel the transformation of his body. It seems like there hasn't been any change. It seems like the whole world has changed. A contradictory and eerie feeling surged in Li Yi's heart in an instant. The system didn't speak, allowing Li Yi to only experience the beauty of divine physique. After a while, Li Yi opened his eyes with a hint of surprise. Although it is not yet known how prestigious that level of cultivation is, no matter what level it is, compared to this divine body, it is a world of difference. This time, I made a lot of money. What is quantum reading in Chapter 3? You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Divine level salted fish king body. Born with 3 great peculiarities. The more sun shines, the salter it becomes. A salted fish that wants to turn over is not a good salted fish. As a high-quality salted fish, one should enjoy the sunshine. The more it is exposed to the sun, the salter it becomes, achieving the ultimate king of salted fish. Note: if one actively cultivates, it can lead to mild difficulties in cultivation, and severe cases can lead to madness. However, if left unchecked, cultivation will take thousands of miles in a day, far exceeding the same level by 100 times. Dominate all the laws. Time is limited, but the attitude of salted fish towards life is infinite. In order to savor the fish to the fullest in the limited time, don't waste your time in the mountains of books and the sea of learning. Learn everything in just 1 second, and savor the rest to your heart's content. Annotation. The collection of classics and histories is easy to understand at a glance. Divine martial arts and Taoist techniques can be mastered in just 1 second. The eye of breaking illusion. There are too many temptations in the world: royal power, wealth, and longevity. Many external things are always tempting humans to be positive and upward. This is evil, this is illusory, and this goes against the morality of salted fish. Have the eye to break through illusions, see through those falsehoods, and enjoy life. Note: breaking through all formation restrictions and ignoring any psychedelic temptations. These 3 are the 3 unique characteristics of the salted fish god body summarized by Li Yi. Each one of them can be considered an incredible feat. The first one becomes more and more salty as it gets exposed to sunlight. Without cultivation, the technique will operate on its own, and the internal power will stack crazily at a speed of 100 times the same level. Think about others practicing diligently, ranging from polishing the body for decades to closing the door for centuries and thousands of years, in order to elevate one's level. But Li Yi can eat, drink, and maintain his cultivation level, even surpassing it 100 times. If outsiders knew about it, they would be so jealous that their eyes would explode. The latter two, who govern all the laws and break the illusion, are also extremely abnormal. You should know that most of the martial arts secrets in this world require guidance from a master in order to practice. Even so, they often go crazy halfway through. But after possessing the body of the salted fish god, Li Yi can avoid these dangers. He only needs to take a glance to fully understand and directly point to the essence of the Tao. And the illusions and monsters on the road were beyond his control, with a pair of eyes that shattered the illusion, ignoring them directly. Let's verify it. Li Ye's spiritual consciousness rotates and flows into his body, engaging in what is known as inner vision in the realm of cultivation. The 8 spacious and thick meridians are particularly prominent. Kaiyuan realm, also known as Kaimai realm. After the practitioner has a perfect innate state, they should try to introduce the vitality of heaven and earth into their body. The vitality of heaven and earth may seem gentle, but in reality, it is wild and arrogant, like a flood. If introduced into the body without guidance, it can cause damage to the internal organs, or even explode and die. So some people learn from the method of rivers flowing into the sea and go against it. Open up rivers of all sizes in the inland and actively divert the raging seawater. Placing it on the human body opens up the 8 major meridians in the body, connecting and guiding the vitality of heaven and earth. In a cycle of operation, tame it, gradually become gentle, and then settle in the body, becoming an elemental force. These 8 major meridians, also known as the 8 Great Yuan meridians. Kaiyuan is the Kaiyuan pulse. Of course, without actively operating the martial arts, the external heaven and earth energy will not enter the body through the pores and orifices. The 8 major Yuan meridians in the body will not intersect until they are completely connected. Li Yi has just entered the 9 heavens of the Kaiyuan realm, and the 8 meridians are opening together, showing a situation of integration and connectivity. According to normal circumstances, without actively operating the pure yang manual, the elemental forces in his body will slowly move along the 8 meridians and move around the Zhou Tian. Although slow, circling around can also have the effect of expanding meridians and strengthening the physical body. If activated, with the addition of external heaven and earth energy, the internal energy will become stronger and flow rapidly. At this moment, Li Yi did not actively operate the pure yang scripture passed down in his family. But visible to the naked eye, strands of heaven and earth elemental energy converged into a torrent, pouring into his body's elemental veins from the outside. In the confluence of the Yuan meridians, the already tamed energy of one's own family, led by it, begins to flow within the 8 major Yuan meridians. Flowing in circles, those savage vitality of heaven and earth were tamed and eventually became the exclusive power of Li Yi. Li Yi watched this scene with shock. The efficiency of taming and transforming vitality is a whole 100 times faster than when I practiced on my own. The divine-level salted fish king's body is truly amazing. According to this efficiency, it would have taken 10 years to completely polish it, but the practice of entering the great perfection of the Kaiyuan realm will be shortened to only 1 month. At that time, I can try to take pills. But now, I still need to verify another feature. Dominate all the laws. You understand at a glance. In just 1 second. Li Yi picked up an ancient book from his desk, but it was the textbook he had just started learning. The Analects of Confucius. Unexpectedly, there is still the Analects in this world. Could it be that Confucius, the sage, also exists in this world? For Confucius, a sage, some admire and some detest him, but his position in history and academia is beyond doubt. Li Yi has no preference or aversion towards it, he just wants to test the special ability of the salted fish god body now. Opening ancient books, a line of words came into view. Confucius said, "Learn and practice at the right time, isn't that also true?" Isn't it also true that friends come from afar, isn't it true? Isn't it true that people don't know and don't sulk? I didn't delve into its meaning at all, but in my mind, its meaning naturally emerges and is engraved in my heart. Isn't it a pleasant thing to learn and often practice and improve through practice? Although there are peers who understand and agree with my knowledge, they only appear a long time later. Isn't it also worth being happy? Others never understand my knowledge, and I am not angry. Isn't it also a gentleman? Li Yi raised his eyebrows, shifted his gaze, and began to look at 10 lines at a time. Like a money detector, those words and phrases flowed through Li Yi's eyes with a swish. Even if you say, it can't be called 10 lines at a glance. As a practitioner of the Kaiyuan realm, my 5 senses have already been strengthened. If he didn't seek a thorough understanding and only wanted to read the words, Li Yi wouldn't even need to read them one by one. He just needs to flip the pages of the book, use his gaze, and with the assistance of divine consciousness, he can instantly remember all the words on a page of the book. The Analects consists of 20 chapters, 492 chapters, which Li Yi scanned at an extremely fast speed. The clattering sound of pages flipping was extremely loud in the quiet study. Finally, with a snap, the ancient books were put down, revealing the handsome face with sword eyebrows, starry eyes, and sideburns cut like knives. With a slight tug at the corner of his mouth, Li Yi smiled inexplicably. Sitting on an extremely expensive rosewood chair, the body moved and the tactics tilted back. What is quantum reading? Chapter 4. Dan Chenglong Tiger. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Come in. With Li Yi's cultivation, it is easy to hear the deliberate restraint outside the door, yet actively exposing his breathing. The door pushed open, and before anyone could enter, Li Yi already knew who the other person was. Zhihanzi, why did you bring tea instead? The eunuch wearing a black palace uniform was stunned for a moment, and then explained, I asked Han Xiang and Qing Chun to rest and take the initiative to bring tea over. They have no cultivation, and how do they know the temperature of His Highness's favorite tea? When I was guarding outside the door just now, I kept using my elemental energy to hold the tea cup, keeping its heat at your most comfortable temperature, Your Highness. Your Highness, drink tea. In the blue and white tea cup, the light yellow tea soup is crystal clear and translucent. The elegant aroma of tea brings joy to the mind. Even before drinking, the elemental energy in the body starts to get excited. Yangyuan tea. This is a tribute from the royal family, and only the favored concubines of Emperor Qian, the Empress Dowager, and the Crown Prince of the Eastern Palace can enjoy the finest tea. Li Yi took a slight sip and his eyes lit up. In his previous life, he was also obsessed with tea ceremony for a period of time. I also contracted a piece of land in Yunnan specifically for growing and stir-frying tea. He considers himself a person who understands and loves tea. But after this sip, he finally realized what it means to be the best in the world and enjoy the tea ceremony. The entrance is mellow, smooth and unobstructed, and after swallowing, the lips and teeth leave a lingering fragrance. Among the 8 major yuan meridians, the originally boiling yuan power has now become warm and moist. The effectiveness of this is not only due to the quality of the tea itself, but also to the brewing techniques and reasonable control of temperature. Zhihanzi has put in a lot of effort. The thought flashed in Li Ye's heart, and he squinted his eyes slightly. He couldn't help but take another sip of Yangyuan tea. Ding! Enjoy the finest tea soup in the world without any effort, with a salty fish value of +50. Add so much. Li Yi was stunned for a moment. He only added 40 points of salted fish value to his previous nap, and when he instructed his maid, he only added 10 points. However, this time he only drank a sip of Yangyuan tea, and surprisingly added a full 50 points. If the host has doubts, the thoughtful system naturally needs to explain. It may seem like just a simple nourishing tea, but from selecting tea leaves, removing tea stems, to selecting suitable spring water, carefully brewing, and finally using the limited amount of energy, it can be maintained for up to 15 minutes to prevent any deterioration in the taste of the tea soup and preserve its original flavor. Li Ye's heart trembled and he said, "System, after hearing what you said, I feel like the 50-point salted fish value is a bit low." Interrupted from speaking, the system fell into silence. After a while, the system sounded. Given the host's shamelessness, this reward will be doubled 50 points reward. In the blink of an eye it turned into 100 points. Li Yi looked at the light screen and his salted fish value instantly increased from 60 to 160. And now, it's completely possible to have a lottery. However, this is not yet a good time for the lottery. Li Yi opened his eyes and looked softly at the eunuch. This person's name is Mo Han, and I usually call him Zhihanzi myself. He entered the palace at the age of 8 and passed away with a small knife. Due to his innocent family background and being about the same age as Li Yi, he was arranged by the empress to go to the Eastern Palace. So, 10 years have passed. I can also be considered one of my most loyal subordinates. Seeing the gentle smile at the corner of Li Ye's mouth, Zhihanzi also showed a happy smile. "Your Highness, would you like another drink?" "Well, you cooked the Yangyuan tea well this time. It seems that you have made great progress in cultivation. Not everyone can drink Yangyuan tea, and naturally, not everyone can cook it. People who brew tea need to be extremely familiar with this tea habit and have at least one level of enlightenment before they can proceed." Upon receiving the commendation, Zhihanzi scratched his head and said with a simple and honest tone, "A few days ago, Your Highness allowed me to rest, so I closed a level. After coming out, I broke through to the 4 heavens of the Kaiyuan realm, and now I am considered a master in the middle of the Kaiyuan period." "What kind of master is it in the middle of the Kaiyuan period? If we don't enter the realm of the primordial spirit, we will all be ants." Li Yi waved his hand, "Well, not to mention that. Look at your expression, I think you have something to say to me." Zhihanzi opened his mouth and hesitated to speak. "Let's just say, we've been playing together since childhood, when have we been so hesitant?" With the crown prince's approval, Zhihanzi gritted his teeth and boldly said. "Before the seclusion, I went to purchase some Ning Xinxiang. At that time, I accidentally heard that there was a rumor from the outside world that the Ning prince's mansion had a heaven and earth strange image, with clouds, dragons, wind, and tigers, which seemed to be the image of Dan Cheng, dragons, and tigers. Your Highness, that Ning prince's mansion is where the 3rd prince is located, and he is also the only prince among the 7 great dragons, except for you, who can build a mansion in the royal capital. You have to be cautious." Bang! After 2 or 3 sentences, Zhihanzi suddenly knelt down on the ground, his forehead directly hitting the tiles, and his entire body prostrated on the ground. A stream of blood trickled out from his forehead, and a red snake appeared on the floor tile. Chapter 5. How to Solve Worries, Only by Lottery. You are listening at novelfull.audio. As a servant, I am still a lowly and extremely humble little servant, making presumptuous comments about the royal family. And in the words, there was also a hint of estrangement between the 3rd Prince Ning and the Crown Prince of the Eastern Palace. That can be considered a biological brother. If this is spread, it will definitely be a capital offense. The hand holding the teacup paused in the air. Li Yi looked at the humble boy on the ground, his thoughts involuntarily emanating. The Qian Dynasty was founded less than 30 years ago. The vast territory was fought down by Emperor Qian Li Haoyang with a split Yang army. After staying in Wangdu, Li Haoyang finally settled down and began to spread his branches and leaves. It can be said that the 7 princes led by Li Yi, as well as a princess, were born in accordance with the fortune of the Great Qian Dynasty. According to the tradition on this land, a prince is usually granted the title of a feudal lord after birth, living with a mother or wet nurse before reaching adulthood. Except for the crown prince, all other princes, when they reach the age of 15, must be placed in their own fiefdoms. Build a royal mansion there, and then live in a fiefdom to guard the land for the royal family. Without the emperor's call, the feudal lord cannot leave the fiefdom casually. However, unlike ancient China on earth, the feudal lords here are not ostentatious. They are allowed to have their own private army. Their private army has almost no restrictions on other aspects, except for the limited size that cannot exceed the prescribed quantity. Armor size, weapon specifications, gender differences, and so on, you can tinker with whatever you want. The reason for everything is that this land is too vast, and with the power of an emperor and the ability of 100 officials, it is difficult to take control of it. In this situation, the princes from the royal family, due to their bloodline, became the most reliable allies. As for the possibility that the power of the feudal lord is too great to force the emperor. If we can't suppress our brothers, then it's better to send out this imperial throne as soon as possible. And now, an extremely awkward situation has arisen. The third prince, who was granted the title of Prince Ning, surpassed the eldest Prince Li Yi in terms of cultivation. Although the establishment of the crown prince was based on the system of succession by the eldest son was appointed based on his seniority rather than his virtue, and the eldest son was appointed based on his nobility rather than his seniority. But in reality, it was just the initial establishment of the great Chenglong emperor. Amidst internal and external troubles, he hastily established the crown prince in order to stabilize people's hearts. This land, due to the existence of supernatural forces, does not follow the same set as Earth's Huaxia. Respect martial arts and make strength king. This is the orthodoxy. As a party involved, Li Yi is more aware of the current situation than anyone else, and it may be even more severe than the outside world thinks. His third brother Li Qi, because his mother, Empress Wan Guifei, was deeply loved by Emperor Qian, gave his fiefdom to the extremely prosperous Qingzhou Daning prefecture in the 9 provinces of the Great Qian. Therefore, Li Qi's title as a feudal lord became Prince Ning. Last year when Li Qi was 15 years old, he should have expanded the Ning mansion and become the lord of the domain. However, under the bitter plea of his mother, Consort Wan, and with the reason that she couldn't bear the distance between her mother and son, it was difficult to see each other, she sought the favor of Emperor Qian and granted Li Qi permission to temporarily open a mansion in the royal capital. The time limit is 3 years, and you can leave Wangdu at the age of 18. According to Empress Wan, she wants to enjoy another 3 years of family happiness with her son. 3 years later, Prince Ning went far away. Without the summoning of Emperor Qian, perhaps she would never see her son again in this lifetime. This reason sounds reasonable. But this is just for the mother and son. If you were to speak for the crown prince's party, what does this reveal? A feudal lord does not leave the capital, but instead opens a mansion in the capital. Next, will he still have to have his teeth built? Establish your own private army. In addition to Emperor Qian, is it the crown prince of Donggong mansion or the third prince of Ning mansion who has the final say? In the quiet study, the atmosphere was eerily suppressed. The crown prince, dressed in splendid attire, was holding a teacup and lost in thought. The little eunuch was pitch black, lying on the ground like a statue. For a long time, accompanied by a swallowing sound, the heavy atmosphere was completely broken. Xiahanzi, get up. Mo Han trembled and stood up from the ground, afraid to look directly at Li Yi. Wipe the blood stains on your forehead and go out to prepare dinner. Is this not to pursue one's own wrongdoing? Mo Han wiped his forehead with white silk, and Yuan Li flowed past. The blood stains dissipated, but the wound that had just broken the floor tile is still there. He turned around and left, savoring the calm tone of His Highness the Crown Prince's voice just now. His heart couldn't help but relax. For someone like him who clings to young dragons, the higher the master goes, the better he naturally lives. Watching the young eunuch no longer tense and leaving with a relaxed figure, Li Yi couldn't help but rub his forehead in the study. I originally wanted to get along well with you and be a happy salted fish, but why do you force me so hard? Worry. Li Yi knew very well that if he wanted to leisurely go down the salted fish, he couldn't afford to lose his crown prince status. It's not that being a prince is not something to be savored. If you were just a prince at the beginning, it wouldn't be a big deal. You just eat and wait for death. If you don't plan for the throne, no one will care about you at all. But first, the crown prince, if someone beats down the dust. At that time, if you still mess around and wait for death to become a salted fish, there will only be one outcome for him. Death. Li Yi doesn't want to die, it should be said that no one wants to die. Of course, he didn't panic either. He has the body of a god-level salted fish king, and as long as he loses time, he can catch up with Prince Ning Li Qi and pull him far away. He was just a bit dampened by this incident. When you lose interest, you must do something to make yourself happy. How to relieve worries? Only by drawing lots. P.S. Old author, quality assurance, new book issue at 5 a.m. every day, explosive updates after listing. Brothers, let's start with flower collection and evaluation tickets, and even those who have the ability to give rewards can leave. Let's kowtow to everyone. Does anyone have a look? Tell me about the update plan. You are listening at novelfull.audio. I am an old author, with guaranteed quality and character, excellent hand speed, and excellent coding. So, brothers, rest assured to collect. Every day at 5 shifts, there are every 5 people who reward, plus 1 shift, and it's crazy to be listed for more. Flower evaluation ticket, start giving rewards, thank you brothers. Flower evaluation ticket, start giving rewards, thank you brothers. Flower evaluation ticket, start giving rewards, thank you brothers. Flower evaluation ticket, start giving rewards, thank you brothers. Flower evaluation ticket, start giving rewards, thank you brothers. Flower evaluation ticket, start giving rewards, thank you brothers. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 6. Golden Core Monster Meat, White Pond Silver Striped Fish. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Li Yi now has 160 points of salted fish value, of which 100 points can be used for a lottery. This is Li Yi's first lottery draw, and the wheel behind the light curtain starts to slowly rotate, then gets faster and faster, and finally gradually stops. Jin Wuyu. What is this thing? Li Yi looked at a pitch-black feather in his hand, which was pure black in color and completely reminiscent of the so-dot called golden black. The system immediately explains it. Legend has it that in ancient times, there were 10 great suns in the sky, shining brightly and scorching the earth all day long, making it difficult for the people to survive. Later, the ancient god die shot and killed 9 days to save the people of Li. This golden crow feather is a feather that fell from the human world when one of the golden crows was shot and killed. Mythical items. Li Yi has shown interest. Repeatedly playing with the black feathers on my hands, I couldn't see anything unusual. Inject elemental strength and give it a try. Just think of it and do it, a strand of elemental power flows into the golden crow feather from your fingers. Boom. In an instant, an unbearable high temperature suddenly erupted from the narrow study. Li Yi quickly opened his protective hood, but it was visible to the naked eye that his hood seemed to be dissolving under the high temperature. Startled, Li Yi quickly withdrew his power. Just a strand of elemental power can unleash such high temperatures. If I were to inject 10%, or even 10% of my elemental power into it, wouldn't we burn everything? But in that case, I might even burn myself. This thing is a bit high-end, I still need to explore and see how to use it. Li Yi temporarily gave up his plan to study Jin Wuyu's inclusion in the storage ring. Stepping out of the study, the dim yellow sunset finally set, and the bright moonlight scattered little by little. Following the path in his memory, Li Yi returned to his residence in the Eastern Palace. Although it is the Crown Prince's sleeping palace, not the main hall of the Eastern Palace, its area is also beyond others' imagination. Just the front hall has hundreds of square meters. At this moment, little eunuch Mo Han is standing respectfully at the door, with some eunuchs younger than him entering and exiting. Your Highness, the imperial meal is ready. Do you want to have your meal? With a gentle nod, Li Yi sat on the chair with a hint of curiosity. Mo Han took a deep breath and walked to the door. Pass on the meal. As soon as the words fell, a group of eunuchs rushed to bring food. There are a total of 30.6 dishes, although not comparable to the emperor's usual 80.1 major dishes, this specification is already considered extremely high. The young and beautiful maid took over the position of the eunuch, with a pair of delicate hands, and opened the plate. The aroma of food wafted away in an instant. Each dish has a unique design. Each type of food has its own unique characteristics. Especially for some dishes, Li Yi couldn't even tell their original texture. I think these are all unique ingredients of this world. Without much hesitation, Li Yi immediately began to enjoy it. Some food that is relatively far away from him will naturally be gently picked up by a maid. When the first bite of brightly colored meat melts into the mouth, the sound of the system also echoes in response. Enjoy the golden elixir level demon beast white pond silver striped fish, with a salted fish value of +40. Li Ye's eyes lit up as he reached for another dish with his chopsticks. Enjoy the famous dish fried shrimps with long Zhengqi, salted fish value +10. Enjoy the Kaiyuan level spirit plant and deep blue spirit flower, with a salted fish value of +30. As he savored the delicious dishes, Li Yi not only enjoyed them deliciously, but also the value of the salted fish slowly increased. He discovered that the more powerful the ingredients, the more salty the fish they added. If it's just a top-notch dish made with ordinary ingredients, at most 10 points of salted fish value can be added. But if he takes a bite of the ingredients from the Kaiyuan and Jindan periods, the value of salted fish will start at least 20.30. Unfortunately, for such a large table of dishes, only the main course is made with the golden elixir period monster white pond silver striped fish. Moreover, Li Yi also discovered that only the first bite of the same dish adds salted fish value. Even if you eat more later, there will be no increase. At most, supplement some nutrients and the soft vitality provided by the ingredients. When Li Yi was full and comfortably lying on the chair, the little eunuch Mo Han had already instructed the other eunuchs to remove all the plates. Your Highness, your appetite is very good today. Mo Han smiled and handed over a towel. Li Yi wiped his mouth and said, "It's okay. The dishes you arranged today are quite delicious. Especially the silver-striped fish in the white pond was made very well. Thank you for your praise, Your Highness. It's just a pity that we don't have the golden elixir period ingredients like white pond silver-striped fish every day in our Donggong mansion. Otherwise, I'll arrange a royal dining room and prepare one for Your Highness every day." Upon hearing this, Li Yi was momentarily stunned. Why is this? Xiahanzi, please explain it to me. The emperor can be described as a solitary person, while the crown prince generally refers to himself as his own palace. For close servants, he can also use solitary. After all, the crown prince is the crown prince and the future emperor. As long as he doesn't say this in front of Emperor Qian, there will be no problem. Mo Han smiled bitterly and said, "Not all the meat of monster beasts can be used to make ingredients, and even many monster beast meats have poor quality and are poisonous during their long-term growth." Li Yi nodded, he knew this. Monsters, there are so many people practicing their bodies, and the texture of their meat is unimaginable. The monster meat that has been used in the palace for a long time is mostly spiritual beasts that have been domesticated by some aristocratic families and sects for many years. For example, the silver-striped fish in Bai Qi is a tribute from the Bai family in Dianzhou, and there is not much inventory. In addition to the open supply of demon beast meat to our eastern palace during the Kaiyuan period, higher-level demon beast meat must be allowed by your majesty before the imperial kitchen can make it for us. Mo Han explained everything in detail. This made Li Yi roll his eyes, realizing that his cheap old man had more delicious food there. He is not greedy for the value of salted fish. Mainly, that thing is really delicious. I don't know what the taste of higher-level yuaning monster meat, or even the ones that transform into gods, is. After a brief conversation with Xia Hanzi, Li Yi couldn't help but yawn. Drowsiness surged up. Today, he suddenly crossed over and received a huge stream of memories, as well as various systematic introductions, which made him a bit tired. Under the service of the maid, Li Yi washed himself briefly before getting into bed. Glancing at the system before bedtime, in just one night, the salted fish value increased again from 60 points to 400 points. This speed, there's no need to say. Li Yi didn't draw a lottery directly, otherwise he might not feel sleepy tonight. I slept happily all night, and the next day, Li Yi naturally opened his eyes. Sleeping until you wake up naturally is the happiest thing in the world. Salted fish value plus 10. Li Yi tugged at the corner of his mouth and couldn't help but laugh out loud. Just as he was planning to lie down and check out what good things were in the Xianyu Mall, a panicked sound came from outside the door. Turning over, Li Yelong said in a voice, "What's going on outside?" Mo Han ran in panic and knelt on the ground. "Your Highness, Grand Tutor Lu has reported to your Majesty. Now your Majesty is furious and has sent Duke Chao over to summon you to the Imperial Palace." Chapter 7. Meeting Emperor Qian, Second Watch. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Yuji Palace, the study of Emperor Qian. It is one of the most heavily guarded palaces besides Haoyang Palace. When Li Yi arrived slowly, he stood outside the main hall and was stopped by someone. Li Yi frowned as he watched the red-armored general stop him in front of him. "Sorry, please wait a moment, Your Highness the Crown Prince," said the red armor commander calmly. Li Yi waved his hand indifferently, only looking at the old eunuch beside him with a pale face and a slight smile. "Chao Donggong, then I'll wait here." The eunuch Chao Huachun was the most trusted eunuch of Emperor Qian, who was in charge of the eunuchs inside the palace and the east factory outside the palace. Not only does it have great power, but its own strength is also particularly strong. He was not arrogant in front of Li Yi, but rather very respectful. "Could you please wait a moment, Your Highness the Crown Prince? I'll go take a look first and make sure you don't wait for too long." "Well, you go." As Chao Huachun left, Li Yi leaned directly against the pillar outside the Imperial Palace, enjoying the cool morning sunshine. "I woke up quite late today, and the sun had already risen to half of the sky." Glancing at Mo Han behind him, his body relaxed. "Xia Hanzi, do you seem to be very afraid of Chao Huachun?" Mo Han pursed his lips and said, "Duke Chao is deeply favored and trusted by His Majesty. Among us little ones, who is not afraid or disrespectful?" Li Yi suddenly joked, "Have you ever thought that one day, like him, you will have a high position of power that is both respected and feared?" Mo Han was stunned. Who wouldn't want to? But on that day, it must be the time when Li Yi ascended to the throne as emperor. But now Emperor Qian is young and strong, in his prime, and it is unknown what year and month that day will be. He wants to say, "Isn't this disrespectful to His Majesty? If you don't want to, it's because you don't believe the crown prince you are following." Li Ye's casual words left the eunuch Mo Han in an extreme dilemma. However, Li Yi did not force him to answer because the gate of the imperial palace was open. Chao Huachun walked out from the inside, and the other person bent over and respectfully said, "Your Highness, please come in." Li Yi smiled slightly and strode in. Just as he walked to the center of the main hall and looked at the people standing on both sides, he put away his smile. Crown Prince and Grand Tutor Lu Yuanqing had anticipated the appearance of the other party. But another person caught him off guard. With his gaze, the other person turned around and showed him an undisguised smile. Proud yet detestable. It is the third Prince Li Qi, who is now conferred the title of Prince Ning. Emperor Qian, Li Haoyang. On this land, there is a renowned powerhouse. According to legend, after breaking through the period of transforming into a god, he led a split Yang army to fight in the south and north, ultimately capturing a vast territory and dividing it into 9 provinces, ultimately establishing the Great Qian Dynasty. It is impossible to speculate on how high his cultivation is now. Some people say that he has broken through the transformation of gods and reached the period of integration. Some people also say that he is too preoccupied with government affairs and his own cultivation has long stopped. But no matter what, he is still the absolute ruler on this land. However, his mood today, up and down, was not really good. Previously, a teacher named Lu Yuansheng, who he had chosen for the crown prince, came over to complain, saying that the crown prince was not engaged in formal work and was idle all day, neither striving to cultivate nor delving deeply into the study of classics and classics. Moreover, the other party did not respect the teacher and did not listen to Lu Yuansheng's admonitions at all. This made him extremely angry, so Emperor Qian sent someone over early in the morning to make sure to call that kid over and scold him well. However, with the arrival of his third son Li Qi, he felt much better. This son is someone he quite likes. The other person is obedient and sensible, and they are more ambitious in everything they do, especially with a hint of youthful charm between their eyebrows. Upon hearing from the other party that they had formed a golden pill a few days ago and it had stabilized slightly, they personally came to congratulate their father. How could this make him unhappy? Sitting on the dragon chair at this moment, looking at his 2 sons below, Li Haoyang's face was cold and he couldn't see any emotion in his heart. I have seen my father, and he is well. There is no such thing as longevity. In the realm of practice, as long as the primordial infant has a lifespan of 1,000 years, the transformation of the divine has a lifespan of 3,000 years. It is said that after reaching the fusion period, the lifespan has already approached 10,000 years. Above the period of integration, there are even higher realms, and there is even the saying of immortals and ancient gods in this world. Who doesn't want to become a fairy or a god? Therefore, if someone wishes others longevity, it cannot be considered a blessing, but rather a curse on them. In the midst of greeting, Li Yi secretly looked at his familiar yet unfamiliar father. He has a strong physique and a calm complexion. Like a lying tiger, if not moved, it will roar for 9 days. Undoubtedly, he is the founding emperor of the Great Qian Dynasty. With his temperament alone, he is completely superior to ordinary emperors. While Li Yi was looking at Emperor Qian, he was also scrutinizing his own son. He has a total of 7 sons and 1 daughter, all of whom were born after the founding of the country and spent a period of time spreading their branches and leaves. There is both the idea of continuing the bloodline and the need to appease the courtiers, providing a guarantee of successors for the Great Qian Dynasty. To be honest, his feelings for these children are not very deep. A person who cultivates immortals will naturally have weak emotions over a long period of time. Especially as the ruler of a country, Li Haoyang has to deal with many government affairs, and he doesn't have that much mind to accompany his children. This Li Yi is his first son. His mother was born ordinary, and he can't even remember the woman's appearance. If it weren't for Li Yi being born early and becoming his first son, Li Haoyang wouldn't have had the chance to be appointed as the crown prince. Upon closer inspection, Li Ye's sword eyebrows and starry eyes were shining brightly, and his face was as if he had been banished from heaven. His appearance is indeed good, and compared to the third person beside him, Li Qi, he is so handsome that he doesn't know where to go. But he doesn't look like himself. If it weren't for the instinctive call of his bloodline, he would even suspect that Li Yi was his own. A lack of resemblance destined Li Yi to not receive the instinctive love of Emperor Qian. And if the other party doesn't show enough talent, then his position as crown prince may, according to Lu Yuansheng, you don't work hard all day, don't study hard, and the time left for you to read independently is all sleeping. Emperor Qian asked in a calm and questioning tone. Lu Yuansheng, standing beside him, shook his sleeves, resenting that iron would not turn into steel. Li Qi, on the right, squinted his eyes and looked at his big brother with a smile on his face, probably feeling that he had arrived earlier than he had. You can see this, an interesting scene. Well, Mr. Lu is right. With a hint of magnetism, Li Ye's voice sounded clear and faint. Emperor Qian frowned and said, Simply put, the air in the imperial palace seems to have cooled down. Li Yi frowned and said, but it's not right either. Chapter 8. Haoran Zhengqi. Third shift. You are listening at novel full.audio. Yes, but it's not right. Li Yi looked at Lu Yuanqing and said with a smile, I have indeed done things like neglecting my job, not studying well, and sleeping in class, so Mr. Lu is right. But I have already become familiar with those collections of classics and historical records, and I understand their subtle meanings even more. In that case, why bother doing repetitive work and taking a short break? Why not? As soon as he said this, Emperor Qian looked directly at Lu Yuansheng. Is the crown prince right? Lu Yuan was so angry that his beard flew up. How could it be? He just skimmed through those ancient books and didn't even read them. Moreover, the recently taught Analects is the most influential book in nearly 10,000 years. Many people have studied extensively and have had nothing to gain. How could the crown prince understand it in just a few days? While Lu Yuansheng was chattering incessantly, Li Qi, the prince of Ning across from him, also chuckled lightly. It is rumored that the book Analects was written by a great master, which contains the path of becoming immortal and saint. This statement is also true. In the southeast of my Great Qian Dynasty, there is an academy called Hengwu Academy. Its dean, based on the Analects, realized the noble and righteous spirit when his life was approaching. He forcibly broke through the transformation of the spirit from the late Yuaning period, and increased his life by 2,000 years out of thin air. Speaking of which, Li Qi looked at Li Yi with a smile on his face. Big brother, you said you understood everything. Can you compare yourself to the Dean of Hengwu? Dean Hengwu, Master Hua Shen. Even in the Qian's domestic market, it is still a top-level powerhouse. Li Yi is only in the realm of Kaiyuan now, how can he compare with the other party? Li Qi's words are simply heart-wrenching words. However, regarding the words of Prince Ning and Lu Yuansheng, Li Yi only smiled lightly. Emperor Qian looked at him with a suspicious expression on his face, and the confidence in the other person's body did not seem to be deceiving. Talking too much is useless, just give it a try and you'll know. Lu Yuansheng, you can set a question on the spot to test the crown prince. Respectfully comply with your majesty's oracle. Lu Yuansheng arched his hand and turned to look at Li Yi. Crown prince, people have no faith, and I don't know if it's acceptable. Please. Before he could finish speaking, a voice as golden as jade interrupted him. How can a big cart be without a cart, and a small cart without a cart? This sentence comes from the political section of the Analects, Article 22. Li Yi confidently said that the sentence he just said was about a gentleman to keep his word, keep his promise, and not deceive others. This teacher has some skill in using these words as a starting admonition for him. Lu Yuansheng was taken aback for a moment and instinctively read, a gentleman cherishes virtue, a petty person cherishes soil, a gentleman cherishes punishment, and a petty person cherishes suffering. Which one does it come from? Li Ren Pian, the fourth point. The beauty of a gentleman's success is the evil of not achieving it. Yan Yuan's chapter, Article 16. In ancient times, reading was the first step, followed by recitation, and finally understanding. Because there are not many punctuation marks, sentence breaks are a problem. So being able to read books is the primary issue. What Lu Yuansheng is currently investigating is whether Li Yi has memorized it. This is already the second stage. Short yet philosophical phrases were spit out from his mouth, and then Li Yi answered which one of them was in the analects. Later on, even Lu Yuanqing only spoke halfway. Li Yi didn't show any timidity either. He would easily fill in the back half and provide the same explanation. Gradually, Lu Yuanqing's face changed. From the initial anger, my gaze softened. He was well aware that he had only been teaching the Crown Prince the analects for a few days, but the Crown Prince had already memorized it to such an extent that it exceeded his imagination. It seems that I have wrongly blamed His Highness the Crown Prince. Thinking of this, he suddenly stopped taking the exam. Your Majesty, there's no need to take the exam anymore. I believe His Highness the Crown Prince has indeed taken up work and education, and I was mistaken. Li Yi raised his eyebrows. This Lu Yuanqing is a bit interesting. I can pick it up and put it down. If he offended him, he didn't hesitate at all and directly complained to the emperor. Now that he can recite textbooks freely, he dares to admit his mistakes. Emperor Qian's gaze swept over Li Yi, but before he could speak, Li Qi suddenly spoke out. Ho ho, what's the use of bare back? We friars, who are stupid people. Who can't recite a few words with a little thought. Li Qi bowed respectfully to Emperor Qian and said, Father, what Big Brother said is that he has already understood the true meaning of ancient books. As soon as these words were spoken, the originally somewhat relaxed atmosphere became once again calm. The word true meaning is not that simple. The true meaning of some ordinary literature is not simpler than that of advanced techniques. Often, a single word can evoke the meaning of a sentence, making it vastly different. Emperor Qian remained silent and lightly tapped on the table. Lu Yuanqing, who was already familiar with the habits of his own king, gritted his teeth and spoke again. When Zizhang inquired about politics, Zizi said, Stay tirelessly and act with loyalty. Your Highness, what does this mean? Li Yi answered with a light smile. When asked how to govern political affairs, Confucius said, You should not slack off in your official position and be faithful in executing your orders. When he said these words, his gaze had already fallen on his third brother. The taste that the other party is targeting is really not concealed at all. Zhengqi asked his friend, and Zhengqi said, Give advice and do good deeds. If you cannot, stop it. Don't embarrass yourself. What's the solution? Zhengqi asked about the way to get along with friends. Confucius said, Loyally advise him and enlighten him well. If you don't listen, it's okay. Don't insult yourself. The resounding sound resounds through the imperial palace. That scorching gaze made Li Qi feel somewhat intolerable. What do you mean? This means I don't want to embarrass myself. Li Qi's face became increasingly ugly. Those who go cannot be admonished, but those who come can still be pursued. What's the solution? The past cannot be returned, what arrives can be saved. A gentleman is honest and straightforward, while a petty person is full of sorrow and sorrow. What's the solution? A gentleman is wise in handling things, while petty people often worry. A gentleman is useless. What's the solution? One by one, hearty and heroic voices resounded throughout the hall, lingering for a long time. Regardless of the length or difficulty, Li Yi has provided the most perfect explanation for any word or sentence in the analects. Even later, without realizing it, Lu Yuanqing took out sentences he had never understood in his life and asked Li Yi. And whenever Li Yi gives a genuine explanation, he suddenly realizes. There is no doubt, even thinking that it is the most fitting answer. He couldn't stop anymore. The sentence he was asking now was no longer a test, but a request for advice. A teacher, an old man appointed as the Crown Prince, is actually seeking advice from his own students. Unfortunately, he is still as willing as ever. This scene was witnessed by Emperor Qian, Li Qi, Chao Donggong, and Xiao Hanzi. Emperor Qian remained calm, but gradually a hint of appreciation appeared in his eyes. Chao Huachun kept his head down, and no one could see his expression. Xia Hanzi was extremely excited, and the summons that should have been scolded had now become a shining moment for His Highness the Crown Prince. Only Prince Ning Li Qi had a sinister gaze and an extremely ugly face at the moment. Because his older brother has been staring at him since the second round of exams. That gaze is unbearable. That's enough. With a low shout, Li Qi suddenly interrupted Lu Yuanqing's inquiry. The other party stared at him dumbfounded, still immersed in those subtle words, and then instinctively wanted to continue seeking advice from Li Yi. The wise enjoy water, the benevolent enjoy. Li Qi gritted his teeth, his elemental strength flowing, and the golden pill in his body began to run smoothly. Roar! Roar! The sound of dragons and tigers emanated from above his head. Dan Chenglong Tiger. The power of the dragon and tiger suddenly erupted, pressing against Lu Yuanqing with a force that was about to interrupt him. However, at this moment, a burst of rum exploded like thunder. Zi Buyu is a strange and chaotic person. Suddenly. Boom. The pure white pillar of light rises from the sky with Li Yi as the center. The massive momentum, like withering and withering, dissipated the power of the dragon and tiger. In front of the pure white light pillar, the so-called power of the golden core, dragon and tiger, is just like paper paste. Li Qi's face was pale, and suddenly an abnormal redness appeared on his face. His golden pill was showing signs of instability at this moment. Emperor Qian's pupils contracted and he clenched his palms. Chao Huachun, who had originally lowered his head, suddenly looked up with an incredulous expression on his face. Haoran Zhengqi. Chapter 9. Transforming the True Meaning of the Gods, Fourth Change. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Dean Hengwu, this is a highly renowned top-level powerhouse within the Great Qian Dynasty. It is rumored that he did not embark on the path of cultivation from the beginning. On the contrary, he was an ordinary scholar for the first half of his life, and it wasn't until after the age of 30 that he stumbled and began practicing. This person has extremely outstanding talent, even if he missed the best time for cultivation. He still reached the stage of primordial baby cultivation in just 500 years. However, it was precisely because he missed the best time for cultivation during his youth that his progress slowed down after breaking through the Yuaning period. Even at the age of 900, one is on the brink of life expectancy. In theory, Yuaning cultivators can live for 1,000 years, but that's just a theory. It can be said that no one is optimistic about him breaking through to the apocalyptic stage at the end of his life. However, the dean of Hengwu Academy became a miracle in the spiritual world of the Great Qian Dynasty. In the final moments of his life, he learned something from the widely circulated Analects of Confucius and successfully transformed into a god. Shouyuan has skyrocketed for 3,000 years. Countless people in the spiritual world are curious about this. Some cultivators with uncertain prospects who knew they could not break through flocked to him for advice. The dean of Hengwu did not hide any secrets, he even personally founded Hengwu Academy and made his insights public. At this point, only then did everyone know what opportunities he had gained from that book of the Analects. Haoran Zhengqi. A unique thing that is completely different from elemental power, incense and fire, divine power, magic energy, and other energies. As time goes by, more and more people are starting to study the Analects of Confucius, studying Haoran Zhengqi. Later on, the basis for evaluating whether a person truly understands this book is whether the other person can comprehend enough of the noble and righteous spirit. At this moment, in the imperial palace, the abundant and grand righteousness is truly displayed in front of everyone. It's so unstoppable. It's like heaven and earth, all pale with it. Wow! Red Jia tied his tie around a group of subordinates and rushed straight in. Escort. Emperor Qian waved his hand and said, "Get out." Here. After the red armor general came down, Emperor Qian carefully examined his eldest son. This is his first time observing Li Yi so seriously. His face, like a banished fairy, was like a dream in the gradually shrinking white beam of light. As if, really like a fairy descending into the world. Li Yi was also extremely shocked at the moment. He had no idea that during the QA with Lu Yuansheng, an energy completely different from the elemental force burst out of his body. No, this shouldn't even be considered as internal energy. It is more like a fusion of elemental power, spiritual power, and even divine consciousness, ultimately forming a powerful force based on certain factors. He is not yet clear on how to apply it specifically. But it is obvious that this energy, known as Haoran Zhengqi, can be triggered by reciting famous phrases from the Analects. Just like, he just broke the power of the dragon and tiger Dan of the Jidan cultivator Li Qi with one word. In the quiet imperial palace, only the sound of Emperor Qian lightly tapping on the table. His gaze swept over the three people below. After a while, he said calmly, "Qi'er, you should go back to the mansion first." Li Qi's eyes widened and he said, "Father, I go back. Just broke through the realm, if you're not stable enough, why come out and sway?" Li Qi's face was full of unwillingness. The reason why he didn't seize the time to stabilize his cultivation was to inform Emperor Qian as soon as he made a breakthrough. "And I came personally to leave a deep impression in my father's heart. If the other party is happy, they will definitely receive generous rewards." But now, not only did he not leave a good impression, but he also acted as a stepping stone for Li Yi, making his elder brother show his face greatly in front of Emperor Qian. He looked at Li Yi with hatred, then turned around and left the imperial palace. When he stepped out of the gate of the imperial palace, his face turned rosy and could no longer suppress it. Puff! A mouthful of fresh blood spat out fiercely. Unexpectedly, he was previously in the main hall and was casually injured by Li Ye's words, using Haoran Zhengqi to strike an internal injury. "It's just that I've been deliberately suppressing it before." He can no longer suppress it if he doesn't see it in the hall at this moment. The red-armored generals who were faithfully serving their duties outside the palace seemed invisible. After Prince Ning Li Qi left, he waved and asked the imperial guard to clean up the pool of blood on the ground. Haoran Zhengqi is the true meaning that can only be realized after reading the Analects and understanding its profound meaning. "Year, you're very good." Emperor Qian looked at Li Yi with an appreciative expression on his face. "Thank you very much for your praise, father." Li Yi is not arrogant or irritable, as if he is not proud at all. In fact, at this moment, he had already understood the general idea from the systematic explanation in his mind. His divine-level salted fish king has 3 unique constitutions, one of which is to govern all the methods. To govern all laws. He had already thoroughly mastered the Analects, and this noble and righteous spirit had long been realized. It's just that it hasn't been activated yet. Today, with great enthusiasm, I happened to find one of the ways to use Haoran Zhengqi through chance and opportunity. Emperor Qian nodded and said, "Haoran's righteous energy is infinitely mysterious. It is rumored that there is also an effect of accelerating cultivation speed and even breaking through bottlenecks. Yi Er, you need to understand it well." "I will, father." "Coincidentally, you have also reached the 9 heavens of Kaiyuan, and now it's time to try forming the golden pill. With the help of Haoran's righteous energy, there must be a great chance for you to break through." Emperor Qian knocked on the table, and Chao Huachun beside him raised his head. "Go prepare the necessary resources for the crown prince to use as the elixir, with the specifications listed as graded. Make sure the crown prince crosses this realm." "Yes, your majesty." Royal rewards are also graded, with class A being the most generous. This is not just a simple bottle or 2 of elixirs, but also comparable to a magic weapon. The reward of first-class resources is at least a complete set. Every item among them, when taken out, will be bombarded and robbed by practitioners. Upon hearing these words, Li Yi couldn't help but smile. On the side, Lu Yuansheng was already stimulated by Li Qi's dragon and tiger Dan Wei and left the state of hunger and thirst for advice. He arched his hand and said, "Your Majesty, Your Highness the Crown Prince is a genius in heaven, and his understanding of the subset of classics and history is even higher than mine. I am not worthy of this position as the Crown Prince's teacher. He is resigning." After pondering for a while, Emperor Qian nodded in agreement. Coincidentally, His Highness the Crown Prince will focus on the cultivation of elixirs. Let's pause this cultural lesson for a while now. After completing the pill, ye heir, come and watch from the Imperial Extreme Hall. The Imperial Palace was the place where Emperor Qian handled political memorials and often met with courtiers privately. It can be said that if Li Yi could really come here to observe politics, it would undoubtedly be a recognition of his crown prince status. This represents that Emperor Qian began to teach him the way to be a ruler. However, upon hearing these words, Li Ye's heart skipped a beat. This is not easy to fish for. In the quiet and deep hall, there were no more figures of Li Yi and Lu Yuansheng. Only Emperor Qian, Li Haoyang, and the eunuch Chao Huachun served as a servant. Emperor Qian put down the bamboo slips in his hand and looked at the place where Li Yi had previously stood with a sigh in his eyes. Haoran Zhengqi, transforming the true meaning of the spirit. I thought the second of my 7 sons was the true cultivation genius. The eldest was just a temporary plan, and the future of the great Chenglong still depends on the second, so I asked the second to join the Pure Yang Dao Palace for cultivation. However, I didn't expect that the eldest already had the opportunity to advance and transform into a god in the Kaiyuan realm. The realm of transforming gods. The most difficult realm among all low-level cultivators in the world. This realm does not rely on the accumulation of elemental strength or the means of attack and attack. Even some strong individuals who were invincible and possessed top-notch martial arts during the Yuaning period would struggle to break through the transformation of gods for the rest of their lives. The key lies in the so-called transformation of spirit. Transforming the spirit, transforming the spirit, transforming the mortal heart, and achieving the primordial spirit. In this process, understanding the true meaning is of utmost importance. As long as you understand, even those who are nearing their lifespan may advance in one step and increase their lifespan by 2,000 years out of thin air. Chao Huachun whispered, the origin of the book, the Analects, is unknown. Although it is very unique, there may be ghosts. If His Highness the Crown Prince uses the true meaning of this book in the future to advance his spiritual transformation, he will not know how much it will do to me. Emperor Qian raised his hand, and Chao Huachun, who had been following him for many years, immediately shut up. With a deep gaze, he looked at the bamboo slip in his hand, which was clearly the Analects of Confucius. However, unlike ordinary paper records, it was replaced with a precious bamboo slip record. Send someone to the southeast to secretly collect all information about Hengwu Academy, especially those related to Haoran Zhengqi and Hengwu Din. Don't miss a single bit. Yes, Your Majesty. P.S. Thank you for the monthly pass sent by my friend CJ5926. Sincerely thank you. Thank you also, brothers, for the flowers sent. Keep updating.